right now. And this is going to be more of like an open discussion. I'm not the teacher. We're all learning. Yeah. Yeah. Matter of fact, let me see real quick. Let me see, baby, real quick. I haven't hit one of those all day. Got a little echo in here, bro. You want it? Go ahead and hit one real quick. I like your pitch, dude. You got that high pitch. The native's about to pop out the closets or something. Alright, cool. Yeah, this is good. See, we could kind of just do like that. Like if you got something, hey everybody. Boom. John got something, boom. You know, DJ. Yeah, look up. That's actually a really Taylor got idea, something. Look up. Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. That works. All right, let's get it. All right, so. We ready to get started? Okay, would you like to assemble? And if any of y'all got any precepts or inputs, you know, preferably from the scriptures, please feel free to.
Thank you. Man, my allergies. Should I take it out? I'm glad they're not. Until he wants to get out. Just waiting until I'm sure it'll be soon.
Until he wants to get out.
Ashley, you want to sit in here or are you staying? Oh, I didn't want to be in the video. You're not dipping in the video. He's going to be in the video.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm just having it over here. And really, I'm not too much going to be like, I'm just, yeah. I don't have to. Okay, retouch, we don't need that on. Let's see, this I was going to see with the angel. So right now, I'm just kind of shooting it out to people real quick. And who else?
Oh yeah, you want to put your link in there too, in case someone wants to join on that one?
So, boom. All right. Shout out to the one person that's in here right now. Shout out. Put it on Facebook.
Have any like allergy medicine?
I
Can
do.
I?
Like Alaclear kind of?
Yeah, or like anything like that. My ears are clogged up and like my throat's itchy and yeah, like I went to Walmart looking for some last night and they didn't have like.
All right. See, are we all in here yet? Some interesting stuff today, y'all. We're going to be talking about courage. Let's see. Boom. It's too cute. So just so we're kind of already there, the first set of scriptures we're gonna go to is Numbers 13. So if y'all just want to be there.
I'm not sure what that is. I didn't read it, but I know Benadryl is usually helpful.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Ben's a good one. It's usually, honestly, Benadryl is like the only ones that I've ever, like if I had a headache or something like that, like if it got really, really bad, Benadryl was like the only one I would like try. All the other ones, I'm like, good, pharmakia, I'm good.
My tongue swells up when I get allergies.
Mm-hmm.
It's really bad when I take the children's syrup.
Mm.
Knocks me out.
Oh yeah. Healed up and you take a nap.
Mhm.
You know? Oh, I didn't send it to Lenzel. Well, I put it in the chat, right? I think so, in the other chat too. You let me know if it got sent there? I think it did. Okay, cool. So people are aware. Cool. Was there? I feel like I'm missing someone. No, I'm not missing anyone. It's in the chat. It's boom, boom. All right, cool. How y'all feeling today? Little.
Breeze up here.
Yeah. The rain tried to discourage us a little, but you know, we're still all here, right? All right, so pretty much today, right? I want to make it real brief. And I would love for you all to have an input, you know. So I don't care, like if I'm reading and you find something in the scripts that you think may coincide with what I'm bringing out. I would love for you guys to put your input. All right, I love it to be all of us included. It's a small group today, so I feel like, you know, it's only right, you know. In any occasion, but today it's such a small group, I'm like, might as well just partake, right? So courage is what I wanted to speak about today, right? And having courage in the Most High. Now, what is, when you guys think of the word courage, and anybody can, you know, just shout it out. What do you guys think about courage when you think of the word courage?
To be brave.
Mm-hmm. Brave, yeah. Yeah, okay. Anything else?
Assessing the risk and reward, and you know, going for the reward no matter the risk.
That's a good way to put it too. Actually, later on we're gonna see that a reward that a lot of people I never really even saw it until I read it, putting this together. There was a reward given to a group of men, right? And we'll go through it, but that's good. So in the book of Numbers, right? Chapter 13, right? We'll start at verse 17, and if someone can read from 17 to 20, right? And so this is talking about the story of Moses sending out the spies to spy out the land of Ai, right? So there's two different scenarios here that we're going to speak about. One of which being AI, and the other one being trust me. And one of which being Jericho, right? Two different scenarios, two different forms of courage, right? So can someone read Numbers 13, 17 to 20 for me? Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Moshe sent them to spy out the land of Canaan, and said to them, Go up here into the south, and go up to the mountains, and see what the land is like, and the people who dwell in it, whether strong or weak, whether few or many, and whether the land they dwell in is good or evil, whether the cities they inhabit are in camps or strongholds, and whether the land is rich or poor, and whether there are forests there or not. And you shall be strong and bring some of the fruit of the land. Now the time was the season of the first fruits of grapes.
So now, right here, right, for verse 20, in the KJV at the end, it says, and be ye of good courage, and bring of the fruit of the land, right? So the last instruction he gave them, he broke down everything to them, and the last instruction he gave them was to be of good courage, right? Don't worry about how things look through your fleshly carnal eyes. Walk with the Ruach, right? Because just before that, Moses was told by Yahuwah to appoint 12 men to be sent out here, right? So now he's giving them the instruction to be courageous, right? Now, I have a chart here of some Picto Hebrew, right? Well, we got modern, we got paleo, and we got Picto. You mind helping me? So I just need you to hold that, and I'm gonna hold this, right? So for the sake of the people watching, I'll put it like that, right? So the word courage, right, is a kazak, right? And it comes from the ka, the za, and the kwa, right? So when we look here, we have the ka, the za, and we have the kwa, right? So the ka is a picture of a wall or a fence, right? And it can mean fence, wall, private, to separate, outside, divide, right? And then za, we have a picture of a plow blade or a weapon, right? And it can mean to cut off, to plow, harvest, nourish, or prepare. And then the kwa is the picture of the sun on the horizon, and it can mean behind, the last, and the least, right? So when you put all these together, right, and for the word courage, we have a wall or a fence to nourish and prepare the least or the last, the remnant, right? In all times, right? Like right here, this is the last remnant going into this, heading to the promised land, right? So the wall or the fence, right, that nourishes and prepares the last or the least, or those behind, left behind, right? Interesting, right? So that's what courage consists of, right? In the last days, courage is going to be that wall or that fence. And all throughout scripture, we see that, sorry, you can say that for a little bit. I don't want you to get exhausted standing. We'll leave it open though. But so we see all throughout scripture, right? Throughout the Psalms, throughout all scenarios, through Jeremiah, he refers to himself, Yahuwah refers to himself as a defense for us, right? As a strong pillar, an iron defense, right? That shall guard us, right? So through his courage, not courage of our own, right? We're able to instill that, right? And it starts from the inside first, right? The inward man first, right? So when you look at the word courage in the Hebrew, right? It means to strengthen, to prevail, to grow, or to grow firm or be firm, to harden, right? So sometimes with courage, right? Because we preaching this good news, right? Or preaching this message does take courage. You know what I mean? Like, and it's times where we may be, it's times where I may know all of you, but even just being up here speaking can take courage, you know what I mean? And it's funny because I know all you, you know what I mean? So it's like, but sometimes, you know, you get those nervous jitters or whatever, and it takes courage to speak the word. So it's like, how much more with people you don't know? You get what I'm saying? And sometimes it could get really discouraging, you know what I mean? Like, it could take just one aggravating thing to happen or something like that. Next thing you know, you don't want to even, you know, you just want to veer from that, you know what I mean? And one thing that I was talking with Yehukanan about is that's why Yahuwah, or Yahusha, sorry, told us that we should go 2 at a time through the highways and the byways, right? Because yes, he will be with you if you go alone, you know what I mean? Yah will be with you if it's his will, right? But it's better with 2 because the courage is almost like a double strength, you know what I mean? And there was a scripture, I didn't write it down. There's a scripture in Proverbs though, or Ecclesiastes, where it tells you that better is it to be with 2 than it is to be with 1. For 1, he will freeze by himself, right, if it's cold. But with 2, they can keep each other warm, or the other one will uplift the other, right? Is there to uplift the other, right? So there may be something, like if I go by myself, I may not have all the precepts that I need to be equipped with to be in my full essence of courageousness in Yah, right? But if there's 2 of us, something that I may miss, you might pick up. Something that you might miss, I might pick up. Go ahead.
Well, one is courage, but 2 is to encourage.
Yes.
Encourage.
Yep. Encourage, right? So, yeah, exactly. So, you know, iron sharpen iron, right?
Yep.
Exactly. So, boom. So let's continue, right? So I just wanted to give y'all a brief, break that down, what courage meant when you see it in its full Hebrew content, when you break down the 3 characters that it consists of, right? Kazak, the ka, the za, and the kwa, right? So fence, plow blade, and the sun on the horizon, right? So wall or a fence to nourish and prepare those of the least or the last, right? The remnant. So now, does someone mind, because reading 13, so we're gonna skip down a couple verses for time's sake, because it doesn't really, this is the part where they went 40 days searching, right? So now for the spies, like let's see let's see a portion of the report, right? And then we're going to get the second half of it. So Numbers 13, 26 to 30. Would someone mind? All right, let's get it.
And they went and came to Moses and to Aaron, and to all the congregation of the children of Israel, unto the wilderness of Paran, to Kadesh, and brought back word to them, and unto all the congregation, and shewed them the fruit of the land. And they told him, and said, We came into the land whither thou sentest us, and surely it floweth with milk and honey, and this is the fruit of it. Nevertheless, the people be strong and dwell in that land, and the cities are walled, and very great. And moreover, we saw the children of Anak there. The Amalekites dwell in the land of the south, and the Hittites, and the Jebusites, and the Amorites dwell in the mountains, and the Canaanites dwell by the sea, and by the coast of the Jordan. And Caleb stilled the people before Moses, and said, Let us go up at once and possess it, for we are well able to overcome it. And the men that went up with him said,
Oh, that's it,
Okay.
right? So right there. So so right here, right? For one, we see that the men speak great of the land, right? However, when it comes to the people in the land, all of a sudden the scenario changes, right? Oh, these people are greater than us, right? These people are gigantic, right? So one word that stood out to me, right? And I looked it up in the Hebrew, right? And it was nevertheless, right? The word nevertheless right there, right? What does it say in yours right there for verse 28? What does it say in the TS 2009, John?
But the people who dwell in the land are strong.
Okay, so but, right? Okay, cool. So nevertheless, right? When you look up the word, right? Real quick, can you help me with this? All right, so boom, right? So I looked up the word nevertheless, right? And it's the word kai in the Hebrew, right? And when you see it, it consists of the, let me see, sorry. It consists of the ka right here, right? And of the ya, right? So it is a picture of an open hand, which means to cover, to open, allow, open hand, palm, receive, right? And when you look at the ya, it's a picture of an arm and hand, right? To work, to make, mighty hand, power, hand closed, right? So one's open, one's closed, right? And deed. Watch this. So when you look up but, however, maybe when you look up these, right? Because how many times do we do that ourselves, right? We'll say something and then we're like, but, however, right? So when you look up that word kai in the Hebrew and break it down, it means, and you look at those two characters, it means to cover the power, to cover the open hand, right? So sometimes in our life, right, we discourage ourselves and we close the power that's already there. You know, it's like he already has it there, right? Even Yahusha said, when you go forward, speak what you're going to go speak and don't worry about what you're going to say, because in that hour, I'm going to give you what you got to say, right? So I just found that interesting, and it was like I was reading it and something made me hone in on the word nevertheless or but, you know, and I was like, there's something there. And I was like, wow, to close the power, you know, or to cover the power, right? So the report.
Like light under a bushel.
Yeah, exactly. Right? So a house, you can't put a candle under a bushel, right? So exactly. But so the report started to look good, right? But then it took a turn, right? So Yahweh also, or Yahusha, gives us great advice in this situation of unbelief, right? So let's go to Matthew 17 and 19, right? And if someone would like, can you read that? Hold on Numbers, though, because we're going back to Numbers. So hold on
I want to
Numbers.
share with you,
Yeah.
just from somebody at home. You guys remember Rick, who came last week at the beach with his son?
Yeah.
Rick's on, and he said, I appreciate you guys. I've heard this story before, but not broken down and explained this in this depth. So, yeah.
Awesome. Amen, brother.
Lonnie says hi, Rick.
Amen, brother. You know, and we praying for you, brother. You and your family, my brother.
Yeah, and
So.
Alex, who's here, is invited, but he had to work today, but he'll come next time.
All right, good stuff. All right, y'all. So let's check out Matthew 17 real quick, right? And this was going to be a lot longer of a study, but I didn't have that much time between work and everything. So, you know, it's still, the message is still going to be there. Exactly. So we could do a part 2. Because courage is, and me and John were talking about this, right? And courage is like, we've done plenty of, you know, Ikaika and all of us have done plenty of studies. And I don't think courage was something that we actually have ever covered in detail, you know, or having courage in the Most High, you know, in like a specific format, you know. So right here we have the healing of the devil-possessed boy, right? With in Matthew 17, right? So if someone can we start at 17 and 14 and read down to 20, if anybody would like.
I'll read that.
You got it? Okay.
So 14 through 20?
Yep.
Okay. And when they came to the crowd, a man came up to him, kneeling down to him and saying, Master, have compassion on my son, for he is an epileptic and suffers badly. For he often falls into the fire and often into the water. And I brought him to your taught ones, but they were unable to heal him. And Yahusha answering said, O generation, unbelieving and perverted, how long shall I be with you? How long shall I put up with you? Bring him here to me. And Yahusha rebuked the demon, and he came out of him. And the child was healed from that hour. Then the taught ones came to Yahusha by himself and said, Why were we unable to cast him out? And Yahusha said to them, Because of your unbelief, truly I say to you, if you have belief as a mustard seed, you shall say to this mountain, Move from here to there, and it shall move.
Chill.
And no matter shall be impossible for you.
And now, so obviously, right? Well, you know, with man, all, you know, things are impossible, but with the Most High, anything is possible, right? So who knows? Maybe you could look at that mountain and make a physical mountain move. But what he's talking about here is the inward doubts, the inward discouragements that we go through, right? Like anxiety and all these things that we battle with, right? There's a lot of people that have mountains within their vessels that are standing in front of them like Goliaths. You get what I'm saying? But they can't move them because of unbelief, right? So something interesting that I peeped, is he snoring?
Stella's snoring. That is her snoring. Oh my God.
But so something interesting that I caught in this, right, when I was reading it, when you look up that word unbelief in the Greek, right? It's the word, it's G570, and it's the word apistia, right? And we think it's doubt, we think it's like discouragement, yes, but we think of doubt and stuff like that. I was showing this to John. It means disobedience. So he said, because of your disobedience, you can't do these things. You know what I mean? So I found that very interesting, right? And then when you look at the root word to it, it's in verse 20, the root word for the word for sorry, not the root word, but the word for faith, right? Where he says, if ye had the faith as a grain of a mustard seed, when you look at that word faith, it's pistis, and it's G4102, right? And it's persuasion. And then when you look even deeper, right? So it's persuasion, right? Let me start here because I don't want to go off where I want to stay where I'm at, but it's persuasion, right? Now let's go to Romans 14 real quick, right? 14 and 4, right? Romans 14 and 4. Yes. Would somebody like to read that? All right, let's get it.
Who are you that judges another's servant? To his own master he stands or falls, but he shall be made to stand, for Elohim is able to make him stand.
Let's get verse 5.
One indeed judges one day above another judges every day alike. Let each one be completely persuaded in his own mind.
So these men were selected by Yahusha, right? And they could you know, they could say, you know, we'll die for you, we'll do all these things for you, but they have to be persuaded in their mind, because words are great, but actions are better, right? That's why Yahusha had to come and walk amongst us and do these miracles, right? Because in the old, he was speaking everything to the prophets and everything like that. But what's words without action, right? So he had to come manifest himself in the flesh, walk these things, walk what they call it, walk the talk, right? To make it happen, right? And he had to, so he was already persuaded. That's why he was chosen and the only begotten of the Most High. Otherwise, there'd be plenty of sons, right? So, I chose this to show that even going back to the men in AI, the spies, right? They were persuaded in their flesh, right? Not in their own minds of Yahuwah, you know? So they didn't have that persuasion, right? And then when you look, when you go deeper into that word, right, for faith, and you find the root word, it's pathos, patho, right? And it's G3982 for anyone that wants to know, right? And it says, and it's relying on the inward certainty, right? So these men did not rely on their inward certainty. They relied on what the outward flesh perceived instead of what Yah and Yahusha was in them already telling them, right? Going forward. And how many times do we do that? How many times do we put our faith in our job income or our cars or our husbands or our wives or, right? Material things or whatever, right? All these material things, right? These outward certainties, right? But when you look at the word faith, and it was interesting because when I broke it down, it's like faith is an inward thing. Yeah. It's an inward certainty. Faith is not outward in any faith. Action is the outward manifestation of faith, right? So faith itself is not an outward aspect. You get what I'm saying? Action is the outward aspects and essence of what faith is, right? So I found that interesting in breaking down the Greek of it, right? So,
like the woman who said to herself, "If I touch his robe, then I'll
right,
be healed." She said,
right.
Nobody heard it.
But what if she just said that? What if she just said that and didn't put that action forward to reach for his hem, right? Yeah. She wouldn't have gotten the results that she got. She would have still been bleeding, right? So good. That's a great example, my brother. Yes.
So why Paul says faith without works
is dead. Exactly. Right? So beautiful. I love this. All right. So going back to Numbers, right? We see that in verse 30, Caleb had to still the people before Moses and said, "Let us go up at once and possess it, for we are well able to overcome it." He didn't say that we're able to overcome it. He letting them know we're well able to overcome it, right? Now, I didn't get that one in the Hebrew, but part 2, you know. But, so Caleb had to reassure the people. Now, mind you, these spies didn't just go to Joshua and Moses and Aaron and report this. They're telling the whole congregation, like they're in front of everybody, just like rattling everybody, you know what I mean? Like, but if y'all was that discouraged, y'all should have just kept that between Joshua, Aaron, and Moses. You know what I mean? Don't discourage the people. You know what I mean? Because sometimes our own doubts and our own discouragements can discourage the body. You know, and that's why it's important to, to pray on things, right? To pray and ask for guidance, right? And there was a specific scripture I wanted to show. Let me see real quick if I could find it. If not, we will say la on it. Oh, look at that. I opened right over here to it. So, Sirach, it's Sirach, if I can't find it, then we'll just find it later. I'm not going to try to, boom. Ah, here we go. I did find it, right? So in the book of Sirach, right, 32 and verse 19, right, in Ecclesiastes, this is in the Apocrypha, right? So it says, "Do nothing without advice," right? "And when thou hast once done, repent not," right? So advice is always needed before bringing a negative report of any kind, right? You should always go to the Most High and consult on how, even if it's something that's discouraging you, right? Always go to Yah and ask, how can I bring this to the body, or how can I bring this to my brother or my sister, you know what I mean, in a way that it won't discourage them, you know, and also maybe encourage me in my own discouragement and doubt, right? So, did you have something, Ahava?
It's do not lean upon your own understanding.
Right.
There's people who lean upon their own understanding, think they got it all.
Right.
But if you don't have sound counsel around you,
Right.
like multiple sound counsel, weighing on it, going to the Most High, you may make an impulsive decision like Peter cutting off the ear,
Yep.
right? And then Jesus said, no, we didn't want you to do that.
Yep.
So you don't want to have to like go back and repent and make amends all the time because we're impulsive. So if you hang around, you know, even like in the world, there's a book called Think and Grow Rich. It's Napoleon Hill, and he's a Christian. And he said, you don't have to be the smartest person in the entire world in that book. Basically what you need to do is surround yourself with excellence, right? So you pick your friends who are trying to walk the best they can with the scriptures. Nobody's perfect, but it's iron sharpening iron, like you said. We're always trying. We're trying better. And you bring it to the council because, you know, it's like my son said to me and Kelly the other night, Mom, you're like one of the most radical, sold-out people, but like they were just being honest.
Yeah.
That you can get so close and still miss it. And they were regarding, you know, my personal relationship with my husband, and they were like nailing both of us, you know?
Yeah.
Because you both think you're right, but neither one of you are right if you're causing this much trauma in the family into the...
Right.
So, and they were right.
Right.
And both of us are looking at each other like, oh, we don't even know what to say because they're right.
Yep.
But we don't even know the answer, but it's being completely transparent and honest because we're like, well, we must have done something right because they're smarter than us.
Yep. Yep.
So you're about to be right.
You got something more?
Joshua says when he went to India, he said that
Oh, sorry. I was like, trying to get the scriptures.
that a wise man changes his mind often, but the fool is obstinate and knows all things except his own ignorance.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep. Now watch this, right? With what both of you said, right? So I'm going to read a verse up in verse 18 of Sirach 32, right? It says, a man of counsel will be considerate, right? But a strange and proud man is daunted with fear, even when of himself he have done without counsel, right? So sometimes we could be putting ourselves in our own doubtful situations, right? Like with the spies, right? Like he told them to go be of good courage. Like he told them already before he selected them, hey, Yahuwah told us this land is good. We gonna take it, right? But what did they do? They started taking their own counsel, letting them thoughts get in their head, right? Creep in, that discouragement, right? Now they're like, oh man, these dudes, they could stomp us with 1 foot, you know, and all this, thinking these like mad thoughts in their head when it's like, Yahuwah already told you, just go in there and take it. You know, it's already there. But they sought their own counsel and their own fear as opposed to what Yahuwah already said was done, right? And it's funny because the only two that were actually willing to go in there and do it was Joshua and Caleb. And what tribes were they from? Judah and Ephraim, right? And Judah and Ephraim are the two halves or the two houses that shall be restored back in the end as one house, one stick, right? As the book of Ezekiel elaborates on. Yeah, exactly, right?
Isn't it funny there how you were talking about fear? Because it's always fear that wrecks everybody up. And how does the world, through the Matrix, through TV, through the prince of the airwaves, which is all the media, right?
Mm-hmm.
How do they keep controlling everybody?
Yeah.
Through fear.
Yep.
And what's an acronym of fear? False evidence appearing real.
Mm.
Well, it's like the legal system,
I
right?
like that. Never heard it like that.
There we go again. Okay. False evidence
That's good.
appearing real.
That's good.
And it doesn't matter if it's real or not. If it's appearing real, what do all the children do?
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
So we got to get them to recognize, oh, you're in a movie kind of thing,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
And Yah said, fear not.
Yep.
Why fear not? because every single thing coming at us every single day is about scaring the children of Yah to death, right?
Yep.
And they do a pretty good job out of it. But we, two or more are gathered, and then you get to be like shield arise, and you're like, whatever,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
and they're not.
And that's why he tells you,
and
be
they're-
ye as
I
children,
know, because
right?
they aren't fearful of anything.
Right.
Like, you know,
Right.
just
Children are taught fear. Children don't have fear.
exactly.
When they're
And
young,
they bounce
right?
back. They get hurt. They cry for a minute,
Right.
and then they're better.
Right. Right.
Right.
And even in conflict, right? Like
Yeah.
kids aren't discouraged or anything like that. Like you'll have adults that have a little scuffle, a little scrap or
Oh,
whatever
it can
with each
take
other.
weeks.
Now they don't. It could take weeks if they ever even reheal
Exactly. Or they get
that
sick.
bond, that friendship, right? Whereas children, right? And that's why the Most High said, "In malice be ye children, but in understanding be ye men," right? Because in malice, children punch one another in the face or something like that, and within that same outright, exactly. Let's go. Let's go back outside and play.
But
You know
they
what I mean?
bubble,
Like,
but that's the point. They release that energy,
yeah,
and even if it's whether we say it's physical, or emotional.
Right.
Emotional damage can be way better, way
Right.
worse than physical damage because people can hang on to it for an entire lifetime.
and that's why it goes
Become
back to,
sick and toxic
Yep.
and bleh.
and that's why it goes back to kazak, courage, right?
Yes.
Being and growing firm, right? So sometimes we have to. Courage is also being firm with your brothers and sisters, right? Because
if you love them,
if
gonna
you love
tell
them,
the truth.
exactly.
And if you don't love them, you'll shine them on.
It's just whatever, right? Like I don't care what happens to them, right?
Exactly.
But it takes
That's not
courage to
love.
tell your brothers and sisters,
Truth.
the truth, but it heals in the
And-
end, right?
And do it in love.
Right. Because what's gonna happen is the more that you don't fess up and confess your faults to your brother or anything like that, now discouragement enters, right? Now I feel this way, but I'm operating different or however such, right? Around them or whatever, right? But I don't want to go on a tangent about that. I just wanted
I
to
just wanted to add to one thing.
Yeah, go ahead.
Fearing not, he said, "Fear not, for I am with you." And when Hezekiah, one of the last kings before the Assyrians were gonna take over, but they basically were taunting all the Israelites. And they're like, no, don't speak in that language because they can all hear you. And they're like, no, we're going to speak in this language and discourage basically everybody.
Right.
But then the king told them, just don't reply at all.
Yeah.
And, he'll be with you. And then the next day, 185,000 of them were slain by an angel.
Right.
And so, just the fact that the Israelites came out of Egypt and they were numbered, that's kind of like the book of life before the book of life. And the main thing I was thinking about was, I did a little word study this morning on the book of life, just everywhere where it was written. And I saw, it says, your name will never be blotted out of the book of life, believing, the Messiah is the son of Yahuwah. And it's just fearing, because I read before that your name could get blotted out, and, it's just very important to know that your name is in there and that we're going to be in a better place and not to fear. And he's with us every step of the way to get there.
Yep. And I got some scriptures for that coming up too about that in all our dwellings, right? So, good stuff, my brother. Now, let's continue in Numbers, right? Now, mind you, Caleb just told the people, chill out, calm down, take a deep breath. Let's go take this city. Immediately after, can someone read 31 to 33, 3 verses for me? And let's see what the spies said, right? Like, oh, yeah, we could take it. Let's see. 13.
13.
Right at the end.
Numbers 13?
Numbers 13, yes.
I'm right here, so I'll read
You
it.
got it? Okay.
But the men who had gone up with him said, "We are not able to go up against the people, for they are stronger than we." And they gave the children of Yashrael an evil report of the land which they had spied out, saying, "The land through which we have gone as spies is a land eating up its inhabitants, and all the people whom we saw it in are men of great size. And we saw there the Nephilim, sons of Anak, and of the Nephilim. And we were like grasshoppers in our own eyes, and so we were in their eyes.
So Caleb was one of these people that went with them, right? So Caleb knew what's up. He saw everything that they complaining about, right? So the brothers, he's telling them we could take it, and now immediately after that, they're just like discouraging the people again, right?
You heard of King David.
Yeah, right.
No, that was much later actually.
Yeah, but but he had that spirit of David in him, you know what I mean? Because he was ready to go, but it's like right immediately after that, the people are discouraged, right? So the spies continue to complain and focus on physical stature to the point where all the people got discouraged, right? And started to have resentment. Mind you, they saw Egypt toppled. They saw plagues of Egypt. They saw them toppled, right? They saw the Red Sea parted, right? They saw all these things, right? They were fed manna in the wilderness, right? They saw all these things, yet still they lacked faith. They lacked obedience, right? They also started to lack confidence in their leadership that Yah provided, right? My goodness. So now let's jump on over real quick to chapter 14, right? And let this be a reminder, right? That it's like, man, like we don't want to be this group of people. You know what I mean? In anybody's life. You know what I mean? You don't want to be this group of people like, hey, it might look rough, but we gonna do it. But we could do it, right? It's okay to admit that it looks rough. We still flesh and blood, right? So it's okay to say, you know what, that looked kind of crazy, but we gonna make it. You know what I mean? So let's jump down to 14, and let's get to, actually, let me see real quick. I think Jesse said something. It's hard to hear when they read. Oh, sorry. If y'all can speak, it's a few more reads we have, but if y'all can just amplify a little bit, because they're saying it's hard to hear. Shalom too, by the way, y'all. Shabbat Shalom, family. Appreciate y'all two joining. If he is saying to be of good courage, is there such thing as bad courage? Numbers 13:20, and be ye of good faith and yeah, that's what we've been talking about. Discouragement, right? That's the opposite of courage. It's discourage, right? So anytime that you're not operating in courage, you're operating in discouragement, right? And that can be immediate. The moment that you find out in something y'all sent you to do, right? Go ahead, Hava. Sorry. Can you move that to the side a little so I can have it on you when you're...
I was just going to say that when you asked me if there could be bad courage, well, isn't that propaganda of selling something to the people that sounds good,
Yep.
that looks good? It's just like in the beginning in Genesis. It's good for your eyes.
Like
It's
a
good.
jab?
It's good to eat. Like all of the above. like
Like Whole Foods?
like the crap they put in our food, like the
Yep.
crap they put in our air, like the crap they put in our
Yep.
bodies.
Yep.
All of it, right?
Yep.
To keep us what? Low level functioning.
Exactly.
And in what? False evidence appearing real, fear all the time.
Yep.
So the only way out of it is to stay in faith all the time, which means you have to hang out with people like us all the time.
Yep.
That's just the truth.
Yep.
Just along that, like you were saying, the question is there a good courage and a bad courage? It's like, okay, if the courage is having faith or belief in something, if you're believing in something bad and you're courageous about it, absolutely, right?
Right,
You're being faithful and courageous about something good. But that's, I think, the same thing with fear, because in the scriptures, he doesn't say to fear anything but him. He does say to
Yes.
fear him,
Yes.
and that's the beginning of wisdom.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of times, like, it depends who I'm talking to, but I know that there's been people who've been scarred with
Yes.
the fear of who the Most High is, so then they have a hard time receiving the grace side. And then there's people like, for me in my testimony, I was all about the love and grace. So I never
grace.
No, but then I didn't fear him.
Everything is grace.
Do what thou will. Right?
Yes, but I don't believe, I think this is just for my own testimony. I didn't learn how to fear him though. So if the fear of him is the beginning of wisdom, not the middle, not the end, I never started learning who he truly was and started getting more wisdom until I learned that fearing him and what that means, it's not just being scared all the time. So there's also a good fear, because even how you're bringing up Rise and Shield, it's like they're not scared a lot, but they are fearful of their dad. They are very in a respectful manner. They love him, but they do fear him, actually, you know. So that's like the first thing I think of when I see him. But again, and to see how they are with him, and it shows me how we can be with him, our perfect father, that it's a respectful fear and like who he is. And again, it's the beginning of wisdom. So I think just along the lines of like good courage, bad courage, good faith, or good fear, bad fear. Like there's totally, there's totally.
And what's powerful about what you said too, right, is that for our children, right, like we know Yah, we know him, we know Yahusha, right, and we're getting to know him even more as we read, right?
Yeah.
But our children, we are Yahuwah to them.
Yes.
Do you get what I'm saying?
Yes, that is absolutely.
Like the
So-
honoring, the respecting. Yeah.
Exactly. You know what I mean?
We don't
So
even have to put it in words.
right.
Because they are so little, all they know is just like this little one is you guys are it.
Right.
Right?
Right.
So you
Exactly.
guys are God until he gets big enough.
To know Yah for
Right.
himself.
And
Exactly.
Luce is probably old enough now that she understands, like, you're still got like God to her too, but like you're separate than him. Like
Right.
she has an understanding. There's something outside of you guys that made you guys and her that
Right.
he doesn't have yet.
Right.
It's like the vessel and the role we play.
Right.
Yeah.
I am supposed to be, and that is my responsibility. So he is supposed to go through
Right.
this.
And
No.
it's all about the it's all about the right, it's all about the order, right? So it's like you have Yah, you have Mashiach, you have the husband, wife, and the children, right? So through the discipline of the father and the wife, the children esteem the father by respecting you. They're respecting the father. They're honoring their father and mother on earth and in the heavens. That's why it's the middle commandment, right? But I don't want to get to.
Yeah.
Sorry, we can make that a whole study
Wait,
itself.
This is a whole study, but this is a really important study. It's a
Yeah.
really important study. And the reason I say that is because you guys as babies are still babies,
Yeah.
right? But
So the
when
courage
they-
we instill in them is the courage they're gonna.
Well, it's like Lonnie was saying. They have a healthy fear of Ikaika,
Yes.
you know, which is good because they respect
Yeah.
their dad. And they also don't want to disappoint their dad,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
And they know that Ikaika has very high.
And that fear is encouraging.
Right, but it's
as
not
well.
like he's a mean fear,
No, no.
like scary fear.
No.
It's like we don't want to like disappoint dad because he's got a very high standard.
Right.
Which is good. That's a healthy fear, right? That's not like a oh dad's gonna beat the crap out of us type of fear.
No.
That's a different kind
Yeah.
of fear.
Like
And we
an
don't-
abusive.
well,
and
we
like
have
that, yeah.
so much of that in the world
Yeah.
because there's young people they never had the healthy fear
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
of dad.
Right.
And they
I sure
never-
didn't. I'll be honest.
Let's
Growing
just-
up, I
let's
did
just
it.
be
So.
honest. Like if you take a poll of most of the people I know over the last 20 years that I've been doing ministry and church with, when Yeshua said there's not one healthy one down here, like everybody did the best they could with what they had to work with. But when people get the more and more and more broken, and I see this as people get older, because I'm dealing with a lot of seniors in my life right now, it makes me cry. I just rented to another older lady whose daughter lives in Waianae who's younger than me, and they don't even talk. And this is so common, you guys. And she said, you know, and I'm sitting there complaining about stuff, and she goes, you're still married, you're still under the same roof, and your kids all come over once a week. Oh my God, you're so blessed. And then here I'm thinking, like, I want it to even be better, because I want heaven on earth, you know? I want to, like, walk around in Yah land all the time. And I'm sitting there thinking, my blessings aren't happening, and other people are telling me, your kids are coming over once a week, they love you, you are so blessed. And I'm like, wow, it's all perspective, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the difference is we get together and we do this stuff, so we're always learning. We're iron sharpening iron.
Mm-hmm.
And they're in this. Your babies are in this.
Yep.
They're never even you, little one, even if he doesn't even get what the heck we're talking about yet, at some point, though, look at him, so cute, right? He's gonna go, I was raised with iron sharpening iron. I was raised with people
got a
coming
precept?
together to be a family of the Most High. And he's just gonna know, whereas the kids who they waited to 40, 50, 60 to try to start seeking, it's definitely a disadvantage, so.
In the same way as children, right? When we come into this walk, we come in as children.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And so I have a precept
Yeah,
going
let's
back
get
to
it.
Thessalonians, right? So
Thessalonians.
Paul is talking to the Thessalonians and telling them how good that they're doing in being encouraging. Therefore encourage one another and build up one another as indeed you do. But brothers, we beg you to know those who labor among you and are over you in the master and admonish you, and to hold them in the highest regard and love because of their work. Be at peace among yourselves. And we appeal to you, brothers, warn those who are disorderly, encourage the faint-hearted, uphold the weak, be patient with all. See that no one renders evil for evil to anyone, but always pursue what is good both for yourselves and for all. Rejoice always, pray without ceasing, in all circumstances give thanks, for this is the desire of Elohim in Messiah Yahushua for you. Do not quench the spirit, do not despise prophecies, prove them all, hold fast what is good, keep back from every form of wickedness.
Hallelujah.
That's a powerful precept, my brother. That's a powerful precept.
I always tell my parents his representative is to give me a sample of his love, basically. It's just a sample.
Another interpretation of the word fear is a reverence.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So what do you reverence, right? And we see with the situation, right? With the spies, we see that they were reverencing their own flesh in this essence, right? They weren't reverencing Yah because they would have did what Joshua told them, what he got from the Most High to go do, right? So let's continue, all right? And let's go to Numbers 14 and verse 6, right? And if anyone can read for me down to 12.
I can.
Yeah? Okay, appreciate it.
6 to 12.
Yep.
And Joshua the son of Nun, and Caleb the son of Jephunneh, which were of them that searched the land, rent their clothes. And they spake unto all the company of the children of Israel, saying, The land which we passed through to search it is an exceeding good land. If Yahuwah delight in us, then he will bring us into this land and give it to us, and a land which floweth with milk and honey. Only rebel not ye against Yahuwah, neither fear ye the people of the land, for they are bread for us. Their defense is departed from them, and Yahuwah is with us. Fear them not. But all the congregation bade stone them with stones. And the glory of Yahuwah appeared in the tabernacle of the congregation before all the children of Israel. And Yahuwah said unto Moses, How long will this people provoke me? And how long will it be ere that they believe me? For all the signs which I have shewed among them, I will smite them with the pestilence and disinherit them, and will make of thee a greater nation and mightier than thee.
So mind you, these guys just gave a negative report, right? Israel doesn't want to go into Canaan now, right? So Joshua and Caleb, and you got to put yourself in their shoes, like put yourself in the scenario in that time, right? These guys are ripping their clothes and telling these guys, like, listen, like, what is wrong with y'all? Do y'all not see everything he just did that the nations are fearing, right? And y'all are still over here getting discouraged and worried about whether we could make it or not, you know? And it's a continual reminder. And he says right here in verse 9, only rebel not ye against Yahuwah, right? Neither fear ye the people of the land, for they are bread for us, right? So Caleb letting them know, like, these people is light work. They Scooby snacks for us. You know what I mean? Like, and y'all worried about if we can take them or not. Like, that's light work, you know? And right at the bottom, now Now he's explaining all this to them. Mind you, he probably crying, breaking down to them and everything. And what do they say right after? But all the congregation bade stone them with stones. They wanted to stone these guys because they trying to encourage them, you know? And it's the same scenario with the apostles, right? Like they bring in good news, but the other side is seeing it as bad news. You get what I'm saying? So we have to constantly stay encouraged regardless of what stones may be thrown our way, because at the end of the day, Yah is the one that has everything set in stone. Saw what I did there? No? All right. But
that's how it was on the road to Hana. My dad kept saying, no, maybe we shouldn't go all the way. And my friend had said, oh, you really got to do it. It's going to be really cool. And it just kept coming up like, maybe we should turn around. Maybe we should turn around. And
right.
it was just similar. But we made it all the way.
Yep, exactly.
Well,
So
I was just going to share with you something that I think is really important. It's just, there's people that talk a good talk, right? But as soon as like things get a little bit difficult,
rattled, yeah.
they just immediately, like I think it's when they were talking about going back to Egypt, right?
Yeah.
It's just, oh, this is hard. I don't want to do it.
We had cable and Wi-Fi over there, and Hulu and all that, you know what I mean?
They have the worst yet. They don't even have internet.
No,
What
no,
are we
you know.
gonna do? We're gonna die. But you're not gonna die. You might get your brain back, but you're not gonna die.
Right.
Because your brain might actually get cleared out and decluttered for a while.
Right. And it's crazy that, like, you know, Yahuwah had to remind Moses, like, man, like, how long these people gonna provoke me? Like, they don't realize what I just brought them through, right? And then right in 12, he says, I will smite them with the pestilence and disinherit them, and will make of thee a greater nation and mightier than they. And that's why they had the march around Jericho for 40 years, because he was killing off all the older ones, right? All the ones that just didn't want to, even younger, even just the ones that didn't want to listen, right? And he's like, you know what? Whatever children y'all got, those are the ones that's going to go into the kingdom, because the kingdom is as children, right? So he's like, I'm going to bring the youth in, I'm going to bring them in, and we'll raise up a new generation unto it, right?
Was that the second time God told Moses that? One was with the golden idol, and he said, I'm going to wipe them all out and start off with you. And he's like, no, don't do it. And then this is the second time?
I believe this is after that, yeah. Okay. I believe this is after that, yeah. So I'd have to recheck. I'm not 100%, but so let's see, right? So Caleb and Joshua give a deep reminder, right, that holding back our courage can be rebellion to Yah, right? Yahuwah comes and reminds Moses that the people's doubts are provoking him. He even mentions doing so many signs in their lack of faith, right? Their lack of confidence. It's important to realize that because of their lack of faith, confidence, and courage, they were disinherited and lost the land, right? So we, in this time and age, don't want to lose the promise because we're afraid to tell somebody about Yahusha, because we're afraid to tell somebody about Yahuwah. You know what I mean? Like, we got all the equipment we need. You know what I mean? Like Joshua and Caleb ain't have the scriptures to pull out a precept for the congregation and everything, right? Like, we have the word with us to show people this, because a lot of people are discouraged when you bring the word to them out of emotion. It's not out of knowledge or knowing or wisdom or anything like that. It's out of emotion, right? It's because they feel some way in their lifestyle, exactly, and they don't want, but once you show it to them, a lot of people are like, whoa, you know, I didn't know that was even in the Bible. You know what I mean? I know a lot of people I've talked to about that. They're like, wait, what?
You just had that today from the guy who showed up, Rick, remember, at the beach? He said, gosh, you guys are going into this much deeper. I never heard this explained like this. So, yeah, it's really important because people can go to church forever.
Yeah.
For years,
Yeah.
20 years. Same pew, same space, and not grow.
And
right?
you're getting that false sense of courage.
What
that
scares
fear.
me is people all thinking, oh, we're good, we're saved, we got it, we know it, you know, we're saved, blah, 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 and they don't know anything.
Yep.
Like, they don't know anything, and they think they know everything. That's
Yep.
scary.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, it's like they preach to everybody who's coming and going versus like one big people who stay and like going.
Exactly.
Comprehensive.
I think that's even the beautiful thing about even like this small group right here, you know, like just being able to be more intimate, being able to be more involved in everybody's lives, or however people get closer, that opportunity we get, even though
Right.
it is small, it's kind of cool and important as well.
Well, it's like real family,
Yes.
and real family is where you really get to see the most growth,
Yes.
right?
Yep.
Whether we like it or not.
So we're gonna say la on the book of Numbers right there in that scenario, right? I just wanted to show you guys that they were instructed to be of good courage, right? They lacked the courage and relied on their flesh and not the inward reliance, right? They didn't have that faith, right? So therefore they were disinherited, right? From the land, right? Now let's get another scenario, right? Let's go to Joshua, right? The book of Joshua, chapter 2, right? And if someone can you read from 1 to 11? And we're almost done. We're almost done. So I had two scenarios here. Huh? You got it?
How far?
1 to 11.
Okay.
Chapter 2, verse 1 to 11.
Okay. And Yehoshua son of Nun secretly sent out 2 men from Shittim to spy, saying, "Go see the land and Jericho." And they went and came to the house of a woman, a whore, and her name was Rahab. And they lay down there. But it was reported to the sovereign of Jericho, saying, "See, men from the children of Yasharel have come here tonight to search out the land." And the sovereign of Jericho sent to Rahab, saying, "Bring out the men who have come to you, who have entered your house, for they have come to search out all the land." But the woman had taken the 2 men and hid them. So she said, "The men came to me, but I did not know where they were from." Then it came to be, as the gate was being shut, when it was dark, that the men went out. I do not know where the men went. Pursue them quickly, so that you overtake them. But she had brought them up to the roof and hidden them in the stalks of flax, which she had laid out on the roof. And the men pursued them by the way to the Yarden, to the fords. And they shut the gate afterwards, as soon as the pursuers had gone out. And before they lay down, she came up to them on the roof, and she said to the men, "I know that Yahuwah has given you the land, and that the fear of you has fallen on us, and that all the inhabitants of the land melt away because of you. For we have heard how Yahuwah dried up the water of the sea of reeds for you when you came out of Mitzrayim, and what you did to the 2 sovereigns of the Amorites who were beyond the Yarden, Sihon and Og, whom you put under the ban. And when we heard, our hearts melted, and there was no spirit left in anyone because of you. For Yahuwah your Elohim, he is Elohim in the heavens above and on earth beneath."
So there's a lot more going on in this scenario than with the other scenario, right? For one, not only did the people know that an infiltrator came in their city, the king was aware that spies were there, right? It doesn't say anything about the gentleman that went to AI. They weren't seen by anybody, right? So why did they have
AI, just because we're living in a land of AI now, what is exactly you're saying?
AI is the region that they were. It's a region in Canaan that they were.
Like, is it a word?
It was a city. No, it was a city.
Like a name
That's
of a
just
city,
what
like,
they
oh,
call
we're
it.
not
AI.
Yeah, it was the name of a city. Yeah, I know, right? Yeah, and it was
Yeah.
called AI. Yeah, it's
Are you
interesting.
serious?
I kind of want to
Just
get into
AI?
that at some point
I know,
too.
I wonder if
Yeah,
that's any significance in
Yeah.
anything, because
and it's interesting because giants were in that land too. You know, so that was really
That's where
the
they tried to
Anaki.
attack, and then they lost, and then Joshua was like, "Wait, what's happening?" And
Right.
He's like, "Oh, the guy took the cloak."
Yep. So watch this, right? So we get another scenario, right, in Joshua, where the men are sent to spy out the land of Jericho, right? However, not only was the king notified, but the guards were sent to their exact location, right? Because it said that he had men sent to Rahab, right? So they had that Google location, right?
He's right here.
So-
Look at him.
And their courage,
God.
but yet their courage and faith did not fold in this scenario. So everyone in the city knew they were there, but they still didn't fold, right? They still didn't get discouraged. However, the other group, right, that were sent to AI, they got discouraged and nobody even seen them. Nobody even knew they was there. They was up there on the mountain looking down. You know what I mean? And they got discouraged so quickly, right? And so I read this, right? And verse 11, right? It says in the KJV, it says, and as soon as we had heard these things, our hearts did melt. Neither did there remain any more courage in any man because of you. For Yahuwah, your Elohim, right? He is Elohim in heaven above and in the earth beneath. Mind you, right before that, she's reminding them of she's reminding the spies of everything their Elohim did, you know what I mean, and why the people in the city are scared. So these other spies that were sent to AI, they was all discouraged and everything like that. But these people right here are aware of what the Most High instructed y'all to come do.
And he knew that the whole time.
Exactly. You know what I mean? Like, she telling them, like, listen, these men is not ready to fight y'all.
Yeah.
They ain't got no courage in them. They is discouraged.
So
Very discouraged.
the word courage in the KJV is swapped straight up for no spirit left. So courage and spirit.
Are the same,
There you
are of the
go.
same thing.
There you go.
Yep.
So what are we talking about? How
Flesh
the
or
world?
spirit.
I mean, just like what I'm doing, you guys all know I'm helping a little girl get her child back from CPS, right? 4 years.
Mm.
This kid is not a bad, she's had a lot of bad breaks, but like, they are coming against her, like, it's so obvious to me, like, of doing what we're doing, like saying, like,
Trying
we're
to
gonna
crush her
stand for the
spirit.
Most High.
Yeah.
They are literally destroying her spirit.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm going, who is standing up for her? Who is helping her? She's had all these bad things happen. I know that there's a set of KV trust and a social security trust that's worth like millions of dollars. And yet this kid is getting absolutely no help at all.
Mm-hmm.
They're all coming against her, traumatizing the child with somebody else that's not even her mother, and giving her these, it's just insane.
Mm.
And we call this normal. This is not normal. And this is why I fight you guys. This is why I do all the crazy stuff that everybody thinks I do. Is because, like, if not us, who? We're supposed to be the body of Christ, right?
Yep.
If this happened to, say, Taj or Talon or any of the young people that we know, like, will we not all go to battle for them?
Yep.
Right? But because this young lady was raised without the body of Christ to come to defend, they have nobody. The system. So what I guess I'm saying is that I've seen like this still small remnant. We are mighty.
Okay.
Because when we come together, we will fight with not with each other, but for each other.
Yep.
As a family, as a defense against the big, bad, crazy, insane world. But when the young people are raised up in the world and their parents fail them, the system fails them, the boyfriend fails them, the friends fail them, there's nobody. And they're in their 20s and there's kids involved. We watch, and I watch the Christians sit by and do nothing. That's why I'm doing what I do. But thank you for sharing everything today, because courage, you guys, is the absolute most important thing about being in the body. If you don't have courage, then you're just in the world.
Yeah. Yep.
I mean, you just acquiesce and it's scary, so I'll just go back to the
You're
world.
like the
you know?
you're like what they call in the gaming world. You're an NPC.
Me?
No, not you. I'm talking about
I am.
not playable, non-playable character. You can't be used. You're just one of those people that's just repeating the same thing in the video game every time you walk past them. You know what I mean? That
Well,
person that just
and
sits
then
there
there's
like
the
a side
NPCs,
quest, a
right?
side quest. You know?
Well, there's the ones that, like, you know what? We're not the people that were considered the most valuable players on the NFL or the NBA or whatever. But in God's army, we're the ones getting the most work done behind the scenes that nobody hears about, that nobody really cares about.
Right.
But tough. God knows.
Yep.
And that's
No. So now I have a question for you guys. So after reading that whole scenario, Does anybody know what Yahweh's reward or Yahuwah's reward was for their faith and courage? For the spies that went to the land?
They got to go to it.
That too.
And
That yes.
Their tribes.
They got in.
But in that specific moment, Rahab was their reward, right? Because they didn't hide their fear and their courage. He sent her as a vessel to hide them and protect them, right?
Didn't she marry one of them or no?
I don't think that happened. I don't remember that.
Wasn't she part of Messiah's lineage?
I don't know. I'm not even gonna sit here and act like I read the whole entire script. Like, I would have to go check that, to be honest, bro. Like, right now in this moment,
I'm just wondering who, because I thought she was in his lineage, and I was wondering maybe she married one of them.
oh, we can look into that at some point, right? But yeah, so yeah, so Rahab.
I know Ruth was.
So Rahab was.
Rahab. I know Ruth was in there.
Yeah.
I'll look it up.
Yeah, and then let me know. But so Rahab was their reward.
Everybody got destroyed except for them.
Right.
And then she went with the Yashrael, so I
Yep.
wouldn't be surprised
So
if
she could have very well married someone, but Rahab was their reward, right, for their obedience, right? They had every reason to fold as opposed to those in AI, the spies that were sent to spy out AI, right? But they didn't. And without a doubt, they went back to Joshua, right? And they reported to Joshua. And what did they say to Joshua? I'll read this one, right? Joshua 2 and 23 to 24, right? So they went back to Joshua, right? Completely different than the spies that went to AI, right? What did they say to him? So the two men returned and descended from the mountain and passed over and came to Joshua, the son of Nun, and told him all things that befell them. And they said unto Joshua, not we can, truly Yahuwah hath delivered into our hands all the land, for even all the inhabitants of the country do faint because of us. So they brought back a good report, right? They brought back good courage, right? So now, real quick, because we're going to wrap it up, right? So I wanted to give you guys a couple other scenarios, right?
Thank you.
So I have 3 different scenarios here. So the first is, let's always remember to stay encouraged in the fight, the good fight, always, right? Deuteronomy 31, right? So let's go to Deuteronomy 31 real quick. And if someone can read verses 6 through 7. Okay.
I can have pause. I
Okay.
can have.
Yeah, you can. Be strong and of good courage. Fear not, nor be afraid of them. For Yahuwah thy Elohim, he it is that doeth go with thee, that doth go with thee. He will not fail thee, nor forsake thee.
Right. So when we go forward in this courage, right, we trust in Yah. We don't trust in the scenario that's presented before us. We don't trust in the men on the other side, women, whoever. We don't trust in any of that, right? We trust in Yah because at the end of the day, he won't fail us, nor will he forsake us. Can we get verse 7?
And Moses called Joshua and said to him before the eyes of all of Yashrael.
So he's saying this in front of all Israel, right? Go ahead.
Be strong and courageous, for you are going with this people to the land which Yahuwah has sworn to their fathers to give them, and you are to let them inherit it.
So now we see they're going to get that inheritance, right? Because they brought back a good report, right? So that's the one thing, right? Let's also remember to always remain encouraged no matter where Yah puts us, puts you, right? Joshua 1, let's go to the book of Joshua, chapter 1, right? And I am going to read verses 1 through 9. And it says, now after the death of Moses, the servant of Yahuwah, it came to pass that Yahuwah spake unto Joshua, the son of Nun, Moses' minister. Mind you, this was Moses' minister as well, right? Saying, Moses, my servant, is dead. Now therefore arise, go over this Jordan, thou and all this people, unto the land which I do give to them, even to the children of Israel. Every place that the sole of your foot shall tread upon, that have I given unto you, as I said to Moses. So he's telling him, every step that you take, I'm with you in that step, right? Wherever your feet tread, I'm going to be there. Where your sole of your foot, hits. From the wilderness and this Lebanon, even unto the great river, the river Euphrates, all the land of the Hittites, all the land of the Hittites, and unto the great sea toward the going down of the sun shall be your coast. There shall not any man be able to stand before thee all the days of thy life. As I was with Moses, so I will be with thee, and so he will be with us, right? I will not fail thee nor forsake thee. We see that again. Be strong and of a good courage, for unto this people shalt thou divide for an inheritance the land which I swear unto their fathers to give them. Only be thou strong and very courageous. How many times are we seeing this? Right? We're just seeing this, like this whole essence of just being courageous throughout this whole scenario. That thou mayest observe to do according to all the law which Moses my servant commanded thee. Turn not from it to the right hand or to the left, that thou mayest prosper whithersoever thou goest. This book of the law shall not depart out of thy mouth, but thou shalt meditate therein day and night. That sounds like a psalm, right? Meditate on the psalms day and night, right? That thou mayest observe to do according to all that is written therein. For then thou shalt make the way prosperous, and then thou shalt have good success, right? So he's telling you, if you trust in me, you be courageous, walk in the path, take the steps, I'm going to be there, right? You're going to have good success. You're always going to be successful, right? Not the world's success, Yah's success, right? Have not I commanded thee? Be strong and of a good courage. We're seeing it again. Be not afraid, neither be thou dismayed. For Yahuwah thy Elohim is with thee wherever you go. Anywhere on this earth that you go, right? So, first scenario is within the fight, in trials. Second scenario is where he puts you, right? So I'm going to end with this last scripture and pretty much wrapping it up with the only thing Yah asks of us is to be of good courage. That's it, right? Joshua 1:18, and it reads, whosoever he be that doth rebel against thy commandment and will not hearken unto thy words in all that thou commandest him, he shall be put to death. Only be strong and of a good courage. And that's all I have for you guys.
And I was gonna say, if we're talking about courage, the one story that always sticks out to me was David's best friend, who was gonna be the second king of Israel, Jonathan. He was with the shield bearer, and I always call Ashley my little shield bearer because he said, hey, there's a bunch of Philistine camp up there. If we call them out and they say come up there, then we know that they're in our hands and we'll attack. And if they try to come to us, we'll run away. And then they said, hey, what's up? And then they say, oh, come up here. They're like, oh, okay, well, they're in our hands now. And they attacked him, and the whole army got dispersed.
Yep.
And so I thought that was pretty wild. Who would think that if you get called up, that he's going to deliver the entire army.
Well, that's the
in your
thing. Our
hands.
thoughts are not his thoughts, and our ways are not his ways, right? So we can think the scenario in one way, but y'all got a whole nother plan, you know what I mean, for how it's going to turn out. What you got?
I just wanted to share, who was it? Lenny or Jesse that kind of brought up that question.
Oh, Jesse, about the bad courage?
Can there be a bad courage? That actually, I didn't really think anything of it in the beginning, but that really got me thinking throughout this whole message, because then again, you're reading good courage. Even when I used to hear that as I went to a Christian school, doesn't make me know any more of the Bible, because I kind of learned wow, I thought I knew something. I actually didn't growing up as an adult. But I would always say, be strong and of a good courage, right? There's songs about it, and I was like, I never even thought to think it says good courage. And what would make it a good courage is it's all lining up, because then when he said to go check out the land, it wasn't if we're going to go take it over.
Right.
That command was already there.
Yep.
So now I think that's what's important about what defines it a good courage or a bad courage. Did he tell you to do that? If he did not, then you could possibly be going down the route of
Right.
a bad courage.
Like, did he tell you to panic?
You know, and it can be very situational. Like as a whole, we're all meant to be fishers of men and representations of him. But there can be individual situations where, Jonah, I told you to go to Nineveh.
Mhm.
So
I was gonna use that one.
again, like realizing at times, because sometimes I catch myself in doubt. I'm like, it's not that I want to doubt, but I don't know if he gave me the go, right?
Yeah.
So I think a lot of times, a lot of even believers can be putting a lot of energy into something he said, I never told you to do that,
Yeah.
even if it's good.
Yep.
I never called you, I have this, right? I mean, just sometimes, or just learning that discernment. Again, the spies were commanded to go in there, not to if we
Yeah.
go, it was, the command was already to go into the
Yeah.
land. The strategy is the how, maybe,
Yeah.
right?
Right,
Is
exactly.
what they're gonna
I just needed
figure
to know
out.
which way we need to go. That's why I sent y'all
So
over there,
yeah,
not to doubt.
Jesse. Yeah, so Jesse, to bring up even to question, is there a bad courage and all that, and then are you being obedient or am I being ignorant? Like that'll define it now. Did he even give me a command?
Right.
If there was no command, then yeah, it's just an interesting like process of things. And
Mhm.
I do want to just share one more thing.
Yeah.
So you had me read Matthew 17, okay? And sorry, it's just he's so real and he's just very present in
Mhm.
our thoughts and everything goes on because this is so crazy. So I don't know if you guys been seeing even on the news and stuff, but my friend Sonoy, her daughter this past week got hit by a car and she's actually in the hospital, totally in a coma, and so she just has no brain activity. She's, I want to say 9 years old. Anyways, so I've been, she's been very public about it on her like social media. Everybody pray, you know. And I just had all these like emotions going on, and then I would just messaged her about fasting because I was like, I remember the situation. I was like, I know it's in the Bible somewhere about this one goes out with fasting and praying, right? Fasting and prayer. Anyways, but I don't know where it is. And then, okay, she was like, I was just telling her, I think I should fast.
That's actually the continuation. Of
Yes.
Matthew. Yeah.
No, so that's why I'm getting
When you go
emotional
down.
That's
because,
the very next.
yes.
The very next verse.
And I
I
know
see
21.
that today
Yeah.
too for some reason.
No, I'm getting emotional because long story short, this whole week, it's been on my mind, but not as much as that it should have been. I think I was getting like distracted. Oh, Kaika's gone, so I'm just with kids, and I'm making excuses, but they're nothing good excuses. And I feel like he was actually telling me like, lean into this situation a little bit more than what you are. Like I'm allowing myself to get distracted with everyday things, and then how you just brought up, you know, when you're reading at the end, that last one, I didn't get to open it, but you put pondering or reading on his psalm day and night.
Yep.
So that's another thing. If I'm not doing that day and night, that's why I can't hear clearly what his command is.
Right.
So these are all like, it really is an instruction manual.
Right.
You know, like, oh, you have a problem here, that's because this and
The
this and this
instruction
and this.
manual.
Yes, and so if I'm not pondering day and night, that's, if I say no to this, I automatically said yes to this. Or if I say yes to the scriptures, I already said no to TV, I already said no to this because I said yes to this. So it's so cool how sometimes a yes can already cancel everything out.
Yep.
And now how you're saying the but,
Yep.
like cover it in maybe a good way, or like
Yep.
take
It
off
reminds
that.
me. It reminds me of Matthew, where Yahusha said,
Yeah.
"In everything, let your yea be your yea and your nay be your nay. For anything else comes of the evil one." Right? Because I'll say, you know what? I'm gonna study later after I check this out or something like that. Next thing you know, you don't get to
Yes.
it, right? Because it was more than just that yes or
Yeah.
no. It's like, yes, I'm gonna get in this.
No,
Now
and
I'm
then
in
I'm
it.
making distractions like, oh, I'm
So,
with the kids, and this is
yeah.
what I should be doing. This is my main role, and it's not that that's not. It's just, can I actually look inside and be like, could I do better? And it's like, no, anyways. And so that's been heavy on my heart, and I kept distracted. I messaged her about fasting. She's like, oh, let me know, because I can see, because that's a tool. Like her daughter is on not her deathbed, but like is in a coma. And and they were apparently supposed to pull the plug today, I guess, like off of, I mean, they were gonna pull it, but like something needed to happen anyways. Like,
is that here?
Yes. So it was like heavy on my heart, but then not at the same time. Again, I'll be like, I see her post and I'm like, oh my goodness, and then in prayer, and then I go get distracted by something. And anyway, she actually did message me back. Yes, I do pray for that. And she actually messaged me back about, so she has all these people in the room just praying and praising him and all kinds of stuff, you know, and they're all talking about, like, she's actually in good spirits right now because she's like, I believe she's gonna walk out of her. She has like the belief, like her demeanor, everything. And then this is on my fault. That's why I'm like, he's so good because he knew my thoughts this whole week. This was wrong of me. I kind of was like, you know, I understand we have to have faith, but what if, you know, sometimes it's like, at least ask him if it's his will. And would that, if I'm in that situation, will I just be like, oh, I already know you're going to, or am I going to come ask? So anyways, like, this was such a good message for me at the perfect timing, as always. So Yagani, like, you deal with that a lot, like, just this doubt of, like, even for me, am I even clean enough to do it? Like, is my vessel even right enough to be able to do the healing? You know, I doubt that all the time, so that's something I need to deal with. But again, I think it's like, if he commanded me, or tools, be in your scriptures day and night. If you're not, then everything else is gonna be, you can't hear it as clear. It's not gonna be as clear. So here's one step directions, the first part it's of the directions, and you do that, everything else is gonna clear up. But anyways, and then just so happened, I was like, oh, volunteer to read the Matthew 17, and I'm reading this, and I'm like, I wanna like shaking after, because I'm like, oh, I was ignoring you. No, for real, I was like, I've been ignoring you kind of about this specific thing. And okay, I hear you loud and clear. So I'm tripping out that. Anyways, I'm tripping out.
It kind of had me rattled too, you know, because when I saw that word unbelief and looked at the definition of it, and we think it's like doubt or lack of faith, you know, and it's like, no, it's disobedience. And it's like, I find myself in that situation where it's like, maybe this scenario is not working as good as it could because of my disobedience, or maybe I could be a better brother, or a better brother for my brothers and my sisters, right? You know what I mean? If I was more obedient, and when he told me to get in this, I'm in this. Because of course, I'm sure he doesn't want me in it 24/7. I have things I have to do too. But we have to be in this a majority of the time to do and operate the other percentage of the time in him when we're not in this. You know what I mean? If that makes sense. You know?
Like, how else do you learn anything if you're not going to go put the work in? I mean, we could say that to our kids for sports, for a job, for whatever, for learning. Like, you're going to get better at it, and it's going to get easier if you put time into it. And so, again, like you said, it's disobedience. So, okay, where was if I'm obeying, where was the command? I think that's how you can really dissect if this is good courage or bad courage. Where's the command in it?
Well, the other bad courage is, like, when Hasatan told Messiah to jump off, basically unnecessary risks to show off.
Because who was commanding him?
Right, so he's like, just jump off, an angel will protect you. So that's like, the
enemy was
unnecessary
commanding
risk.
him.
That's kind of a bad courage. You say, you got me.
Anyways, thank you. That was great. So good.
Praise God.
Yes. And if you could pray for
only a man.
Big vessel.
Praise God. Alright, y'all, we are going to wrap this up, and we're all going to chop it up off screen. Shalom. I love y'all. Appreciate y'all joining.